Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in and being a part of this evening. This is Swapnil Chodankar on behalf of TCS iON, and I welcome you all to the free masterclass on demonstration of cloud storages and deployment. Today, we are stepping into a world of cloud storage and deployment, the backbone of modern tech infrastructure. In this masterclass, you will see firsthand how cloud platforms are used to store, manage, and deploy applications at scale, supporting everything from website to enterprise systems. We'll walk through live demonstrations showing how to work with cloud storage services, manage files securely, and deploy applications efficiently. Whether you're a beginner or looking to strengthen your skills, this session will give you practical insights into real world cloud workflows, best practices, and how businesses today leverage the cloud for speed, scalability, and success. Get ready to unlock the power of cloud. And I'm thrilled to introduce our expert speaker for today. Please give a warm welcome to Debashish Roy.
Hello.
Let me give you a quick introduction. So Debashish Roy is a domain consultant at Tata Consultancy Services. He's completed his ME Software Engineering from Jadavpur University, Calcutta. He has been working with Tata Group of companies for over 18 plus years as a subject matter expert in diverse technical domains such as big data analytics, data engineering, cloud computing and architecture, and many more. He has worked as a technical lead for conceptualizing and implementation of hands-on environment on TCS iON cloud platform for higher education, learning products, and guided multiple technical projects. Let's not wait. Let's dive into our exclusive session. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Debashish.
Yeah, thank you
So
so much,
before I come,
Swapnil.
you're
Yeah,
most welcome. Wherever you are in your journey, today, this session will help you make things clearer and more practical. So, before we dive deep into the masterclass, I would like to set the stage with a quick foundation. Debashish, if we could briefly walk us through what is cloud, what does it mean in today's tech world, and for many learners are from different backgrounds. So, an overview along with main components of cloud would really be helpful to help everyone get a clear picture. Over to you, Debashish.
sure. Thank you so much, Swapnil. So I would like to share my screen to go through the basic concepts of cloud and give an overview and what are the different components of cloud and the different deployment models. And then we will walk through the detailing the hands-on aspects of it as well. Okay, later on. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know if the screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the concept of cloud computing, the first thing that has come is what is cloud? See, just think of a business scenario that a company wants to set up data storage, wants to prepare a kind of a networking within an organization, and wants to set up a set of hardwares, storages, say networking, virtual private system settings, cyber securities, everything to set up an establishment in a kind of a closed premise. So think of this environment. What they need to do? They need to buy hardwares. Say for example, for 25 employees, if a company or an organization has, they need to buy 25 systems. They need to have equivalent amount of hard disk storages. Not hard disk storages would be good enough. They need to have data centers and servers. They need to prepare the networking. They need to enforce the security, not only the individual laptop oriented, but also the data security, the network security, and all these things. They need to prepare for the infrastructure of each and every system. That means not only they would provide for the operating systems, but also how they would be interacting. Some systems might require Linux, some might require Windows, some need to actually deploy only applications and stored data, like say storage devices and systems. So they need to have an architectural concept. They need to have databases. They need to have simple storage services where the large volumes of documents and files need to be stored. So just think of this scenario. In this way, what needs to be done is they need to invest on so many things. Now today, they had planned for 25. Tomorrow their business is growing. Now they need to again upfront buy so many more devices, again planned for this. What if in between, suppose some of the systems breaks or goes down? Then again they need to think of replacement. What if the networks creates a problem and there is a problem with the networking system and some system is not following the network and goes out of the network? Then again they need to fix it. So it's a whole lot of hassle that comes in the way. They need to pay upfront for all these hardwares. They need to plan in advance for all the things that is required. And not only that, suppose they've the budget is they've planned for an apex cost of suppose 100 systems, but the business is not requiring so much. So that amount of investment has already been done by the organization, right? The amount of technical manpower required to have a setup like this and to maintain that network and the hardware infrastructure and the software infrastructure and the services is huge. So the cost for this IT infrastructure for the company is absolutely grows by leaps and bounds, whereas they might not even use it. Now the next concept comes in, what if they could get something where they actually could store and use systems where someone else would take care of the infrastructure, someone else would take care of the security, someone else would provide only the storage spaces required, someone will only give you the required amount of softwares that are required. Everything would be taken care by someone else, a vendor software, and you would only pay as much as you need it. Now there the concept of cloud comes in. In the concept of cloud, what happens? There are service providers which will have data centers, which will provide for the network, which will provide for your infrastructure, which will provide for your platform. And what as an organization or the user, what we would do, we'll directly go and use only as much as is required. And on-demand usage is what is that? And we would be actually paying for exactly what we are using. Now that is where the cloud comes in. Now cloud computing, when we talk about, there are two players in this. One is the cloud vendors who are actually maintaining this entire infrastructure. And the other is the cloud user who is actually using the services, thinking about the platform, working with the platform. Now, when you are as a cloud expert, if you want to work in a company like AWS, Google, or Microsoft, or you plan to work in a cloud development organization, then you need to think about how you are preparing these services, how you are securing this to provide services to others. On the other hand, if you're working into a company like a software as a service or a platform as a service who would be using this, then you need to know how much you can leverage to use these kind of services from the cloud providers. So there are two sets of use cases totally in this particular thing, what we call two cases of players. Now, when we know or when we think about the cloud, the main concept of cloud comes from the concept of virtualization. Now, what is that? Virtualization concept comes in a way that the hardware, the softwares, whatever I'm talking about is leveraged to you as if that is to the box, the black box that you are using. But that is actually a shared device that is being used by multiple other users also. So you as a tenant of that particular part of the hardwares and the storages, you are using only that much amount of the cloud resources or the compute resources. But you are finding that, okay, this is my system, it is enclosed to you, you are using those things, it is absolutely secure, and you are paying for whatever you are using for the time you are actually operating. That is what the concept comes into it. So in a very layman's term, this is what the concept of cloud and how it operates. So what comes in? On-demand usage of the computer system resources, the data storage, the compute power without direct active management by the user. Instead of owning and maintaining the physical data centers and the servers, you provide access to technology service such as compute power, storage, database as needed and provided by the cloud vendors, the cloud providers. Now, when we talk about the cloud resources, these are what? Like can be the servers, the virtual machines, the computes, the storages. There are, as I mentioned, that there are two types of players. One is the cloud vendor providers who are providing this service like Microsoft Azure, like Google Cloud, like AWS, Amazon, like IBM, and much more, many more. But these are the primary players. Along with this is coming through what? It is leveraging, it is coming through the routers, it is coming through the switch, through the use of the entire use of the internet technologies, and it is reaching us, and the end user, we are using it through mobiles, laptops, okay, the network printers, desktop, whatever it is. As an end user, we are using and leveraging them. So there are two types of players in the market. When you have to learn cloud computing, you will work as a user, where you would use the services provided, the sophisticated services provided by these cloud service providers, as well as you will learn the core concept of the virtualization techniques. You will learn the core concepts of implementing this in the cloud development and the cloud architecture models, and the infrastructure management particularly, where you would also be eligible to provide these kind of services to others. So there are two things that comes into it. Now, if we talk about the classifications, now when we talk about computing models, the cloud computing models, can be categorized based on the deployment models and the service models. Now, according to the infrastructure setup, it may be classified as private, public, and hybrid cloud. Now, as per the model, the cloud computing models represent the cloud computing stack. We talk about like infrastructure as a service, we talk about platform as a service, we talk about software as a service. Now, when we talk about like the categories of cloud computing model, when we talk about suppose the private, public, and the hybrid cloud, also we'd say what is community cloud. Then based on the deployment, a private cloud is what, say for example, I want a high secured system. Say for example, it is a high secured, the national security we want to use, set up for our own environment, but we cannot go for a public cloud because the challenge is if some breaches happen, if something happens, then we cannot directly control it. We have to rely on the vendor to provide the entire security. If it is that much high secured zone, then obviously we need to prefer a private cloud. In private cloud, this cloud infrastructure, the concept of the virtualization, the entire security models, the network infrastructure, the compute engines, the storages, okay, the sophisticated software services, everything has to be provided within the private cloud, and the organization needs to manage it and maintain it. The data centers, everything, the organization needs to manage it and maintain it. This is the concept where it goes as a private cloud. When we talk about a public cloud, in the public cloud, what happens? Obviously, the entire compute is being maintained by the service providers, the cloud service providers like AWS, Google, and Microsoft Azure, and we go and use them. It is absolutely secure, but still it is based on someone else to maintain it, right? So we only pay for as much as you use it. Say for example, I've turned the compute engine and using it for 12 hours. So we only pay for 12 hours. Suppose we are keeping the data only for 15 days. We only pay for 15 days. So based on whatever we are using, we are paying. That is what we call as on-demand pricing. Okay. Now the concept of suppose something called a hybrid cloud. Now when we say that it is a hybrid cloud, here this is a combination of these two. That means suppose the compute and all these things are in the remote location, in the public cloud, but the data centers, the main data where it is being stored is maintained within the organization itself. So this is a combination of both a private and a public cloud. In a community cloud, what happens? It is not as restricted as a private cloud, but you are sharing across multiple organizations. Say for example, multiple offices can share a common infrastructure of hardwares and softwares, what we can call it as a community cloud. Based on the service model, as we talk about, we say that it is an infrastructure as a service. We can talk about a platform as a service. We can talk about a software as a service. Okay. Now, when we talk about infrastructure as a service, that means it is providing us the infrastructure. Now, what is an infrastructure? Infrastructure is the network. Infrastructure is the hardware. Infrastructure is the computes. Okay. Infrastructure provides the security infrastructure also. That also comes in. The infrastructure provides you the storages. So these are all the infrastructures. So when we come across infrastructure as a service, or what we call as IaaS, then We are just hiring the infrastructure from the cloud vendor providers. Okay, the rest we can also build and manage. Next is platform as a service. When we talk about a platform, then we talk about not only the infrastructure, but also the operating system, what we are providing on top of that, like the platform that we are getting, the RAM, the compute engines, CPU or GPU, what would be the power, etc., etc. That also comes into it. When we talk about a software as a service, say for example, the usage of the mailboxes, the uses of the enterprise resource planning ERP softwares, the usage of, say, many other components that we are using directly in the cloud. Say, for example, you always have used Gmail, right? But do you worry about, or are you concerned that how the Gmail servers are maintained and how Google maintains it? Where are the data centers? No, right? We just use it as it is. Similarly, when we use, suppose it's like Google Cloud, or when we use some cloud for data storages, we don't really think. We know that we can log in by our user ID, password, and some authentication or a multi-factor authentication for the security, and we can actually get the data, we can work with it and come across with the required things. So that is the software as a service that comes across. So it is ERP, it can be the databases that is being provided by the cloud. There are many managed databases provided by the cloud itself. There can be many storages provided by the cloud and the way you are accessing them. So these comes under the software as a service as you are talking about. As I was talking about the types of cloud service models. So infrastructure of a service provides a cloud IT and provides access to network features, computers, virtual or dedicated hardware, data storages. Platform of a service provides the underlying details, the hardware and the operating systems, freedom from the users for the resource procurement, capacity planning, maintenance. So you can only focus on what is required, how to work with it. The focus on the deployment and management of the application and the software without thinking about the platform, the hardware, the compatibility, all these things. Software as a service, as you use the softwares, you pay for it. Say, for example, different models for delivering applications over the internet, like the software as a service vendors host services and applications for customers to access on-demand services. Now today, say for example, there are plenty, not only like I'm talking about the mail service or talking about like the your different ERP, enterprise resource planning services, but not only that, even development, like today, the artificial intelligence and the machine learning models are also built-in models that you can directly use from the cloud service providers to create your own deployment model and can directly deploy it over there. Now, AWS SageMaker is also an example of this because you can directly work, create a compute, create a machine learning model over there, automate what you call is an MLOps, machine learning operations, to create an end-to-end data, say, architecture for the machine learning models. You can compute and you can deploy them. Okay. So as it is going, even not only the AI domain, but with the IoT, the Internet of Things, when the data is coming and you're directly storing it in the cloud, the processing happens, all these things you can automate and can specify a pipeline to work in this. This all comes under the software as a service provided by the cloud service providers, that the softwares through which you can operate and you can further develop and fine tune as per your business requirement. Okay. As I was talking about the cloud deployment models, the private on-premise, the public cloud, the hybrid cloud, the multi-cloud. The multi-cloud is a public cloud providers to increase flexibility and fault tolerance. So private cloud may also be added to this. So multi-cloud is commonly used for business with critical workloads, allows flexibility by increasing the complexity, where the combination of both the public and the private cloud, all these things comes into play. Okay, so this is an example. Now, if we talk about, we were talking about the different compute services being provided. One of the compute service, if I take the example of Amazon, is called Amazon EC2. Okay, Elastic Compute Cloud. That is what EC2 is all about, Elastic Compute Cloud. Now, what it provides, the Elastic Compute Cloud allows you to select the compute engines, say for example, your virtual machine. It allows you to select the hardwares that you want to select for your machine. Say for example, the RAM size, the storage capacity, like say for example, your hardware storage, hard disk storage capacity, what we normally call as EBS, elastic block store. Okay. And then you can add on if you want to add a kind of a network, if you want to add some additional network services, if you want to add a VPC along with it, which is called if you want to add some specific securities along with it. Okay, the virtual private cloud, if you want to add a NAT along with that. So all these things regarding the network complexities, the securities, the storages, what you want to do, or you want a CPU model, or you want to work with a GPU model for your machine learning and the deep learning. So all these things you choose. It is all your choice. You choose the operating system, the Linux, the versions, the Windows, the versions, even if you can go with the Apple machines, what you want. Even there are not only what you call the Amazon machine images through which they are provided or built. It will not only be the built-in, the basic, the core metal, what we call the basic models for the OS, but you can have even sophisticated Amazon machine images where the software comes as an image where not only the OS, but other softwares are also added to it. Okay. So these are what you call as a EC2 instances or the compute engines. Now, as I was talking about, the OS is defined by the AMI or the Amazon machine image. And AMI is a template or document that contains information telling EC2 what OS and what application softwares to include on the root data volume of the instance, and it is about to launch. So this is about EC2. Now, there are many models of these things. This I'm not going to cover in this session. In actual sessions, we'll demonstrate and see all these types. AWS storage services, as we were talking about, the different types of storages that is provided. Why I'm talking about AWS only at this point? Because of the time itself, when you get into the actual session, we'll not only cover a vendor, specific vendor, but we'll go with all the multiple vendors, like Microsoft, AWS, and Google, so that we give you enough experience in the different cloud providers or the cloud service providers and the models they operate, so that your effectiveness for job hunt also increases and your knowledge is up to a level where you're deployable at any point in time. Okay. So AWS storages comprise of object, file, and block storages. One, we can talk about Amazon Simple Storage Service or S3, where actually everything is stored as a bucket, as an object, and you can specify data. It is the data availability, security, and performance is absolutely on the rise. Now it can, from this, we normally work with like different concepts, such as the virtual can use it for data lakes, cloud native applications, mobile apps. Now data lake is now really coming across in a booming in the market at this point, where even Amazon provides services like AWS Lake Formation, and when you can use like AWS Glue and even AWS Athena, through which you can actually query these like data lakes and work with it. Amazon Elastic File System. It is the serverless, fully elastic file storage where you can specify files which will grow and shrink as added and removed, and you pay only for the part you're using it. Now the Elastic Block Store, that is what I'm talking about. This comes only with the EC2 components. That means it is something like the hard disk or the SSD devices that you use for your laptops and machines. Okay. It is easy to use, high performance block storage designed for Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. Now, if we talk about Amazon RDS and Amazon NoSQL, I'll come back to this later on. So for the timing, I'm passing the control to Swapnil. I'll get back to this before my demonstration also. Okay.
Thank you so much, Devashish. We've got an interesting question already, and the participants are listening to everything that you are saying. So we've got Jatin who says, "What do you see the future of cloud computing and its jobs?" So we'll come back to this question maybe in
I'll
the
take
later
this
part of
question. It's a
the.
very interesting question. I want to take this.
Sure, sure, sure. We'll do that. So I just want to thank you, Debashish, for explaining, the cloud compute engines, and it really helped how computing power works in the cloud. And as you gave a real life example about Gmail, we use it day in and day out, but we don't realize where is it getting stored, who's storing it. We don't have all those questions. So like even realizing it, we use it. So thank you so much for giving us live examples like that. I just wanted to bring out this one point, before we get into the masterclass, that we are providing an internship opportunity to students who will be completing this program. And so could you share some more light about this, Debashish?
Yeah. So like the internship opportunities are coming across after the course gets completed. So once you complete this course, you can get into the internship where you would be getting into with work with IIT Bhubaneshwar, and you would be provided the enough infrastructures and hands-on where you would leverage and you understand the IIT labs and all. So it's
Wonderful.
all for you to explore. And
Wonderful. So,
I can
yeah.
assure you it is going to be a wonderful experience for all of you.
That's true. So, for all who've joined, we've come up with a course with IIT Bhubaneshwar in collaboration with TCS iON, and that's the course that we're going to talk about in just some time more. So, just be patient enough. And about the internship option that Debashish just spoke about, so the top performers will get this opportunity to have an internship with the IIT professional Bhubaneswar professors, and it's a great opportunity, and I'm sure that you all will enjoy it. We've got a few questions that are coming in. I don't have much knowledge about cloud computing, Rohit says. What are the pre-requirements to learn it? So we're going to answer all these questions. That is why we have this masterclass today. Let me give the session again to Debashish, and you can probably, take it further and give us a live demonstration, Debashish, and we can touch upon a few questions later on.
Sure, absolutely. So again, I'm sharing my screen. Back to this. Yeah, I'm getting very interesting questions. Actually, I'll come across to these things. I'll address this first,
Sure.
and then I'll go with the hands-on quickly.
Lovely.
Okay, so I'm talking about 2 to 3 things. Amazon RDS, or I would like to talk about the relational database service. Now, relational database service, it is a fully managed service provided by the cloud service providers. So obviously, you know that you have to install, suppose, different cloud services like Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and so on. When a managed service is given, obviously, it is being provided by the service vendors and the providers, and you just go to deploy and use it. I'll show you how easy it is to actually manage, deploy, and use Amazon RDS, and how to use the storage and all these things within like few minutes. Okay. Next, I'm coming to the NoSQL. When we come to like RDB, like the RDS, the managed relational database services, also like the NoSQL, what we normally say is a not only SQL, where you have an advantage of using not relational databases, but not only that, you have the document oriented database, you have the graph database, you have in-memory database, search database, etc. So examples can be like, and these are absolutely today in like the formats of the data that we have. Not only everything is like a row and a column, like the databases that we used to have earlier. Now it can come in a JSON format, it can come in a JSON format, it can come in any other format, like the live streaming of the data. If you want to store all these things, obviously, the relational database alone will not be sufficient. Now, the NoSQL database plays a good amount of role to work with these kind of data. And also the concept of data lake today is absolutely like the latest in the market, where you have a combination of all the data residing together in an infrastructure called a data lake. And you have applications which will operate on that and work with it. Okay. Now, some of the examples of AWS supported NoSQL databases can be Amazon DynamoDB. It can be Amazon DocumentDB, which is like the MongoDB compatible. It can be Amazon Neptune, which is a serverless managed graph databases, where these are the examples where this can be used. Okay. Now coming to the questions, that is like from the related technology spaces, how cloud computing helps. See, cloud computing today is required for in whatever business domain you're working or whatever technology you're working. Okay. If you say that I want to work with artificial intelligence domain, in that way, the cloud is an essential component, because Today, everything is happening on the cloud. The data, the huge amount of data for the training of the systems and the model, if you're working with a GPT, okay, if you're working with generative AI, or if you want to work with an agentic AI, whatever it is, if you want to work with an artificial intelligence model, the data being trained, the data stored, everything is done through cloud infrastructures. And these vendor providers are providing supercompute powers. These are providing infrastructures and these are providing services through which you can work in this. So different libraries being provided by them, different ways of working with the machine learning operations are being worked with it. So the cloud and artificial intelligence domain is absolutely fused today in a way that artificial intelligence domain definitely would be needing cloud service vendors support to work in this in a very large scale scalable way. Okay. Next is big data and data science. Now, the common question comes is, if you work with a big data and data science, the main concept is, if you go for the predictive analytics, if you want to work with the prescriptive analytics, how and where are you going to store the data? What format of data you are storing? How you will manage the infrastructure? For all, the answer is cloud. If you talk about the Internet of Things, the rapid pace the data is coming from, not only like the data that you are using by certain devices and sensors that are continuously sending data. It can be of any format. If it can be used in any kind of storage. If you want such a kind of a real-time application to store, provide data, use it, and analyze it, cloud is the answer again. If you talk about mobile computing, obviously you have the mobile device, but the entire, all these, the Airtel, VI, Geo, etc., all of them, the data is stored in the cloud itself for the infrastructure management. Mail services and storages I already spoke about. The ERP products like the enterprise resource planning. Today, even if you go with a campus solution where a student management system is maintained, it is into the cloud. If you talk about anything, hospital management system, it is into the cloud. If you talk about a defense, it is into the cloud. If you talk about any enterprise level systems where large amount of data and compute needs to be stored, it is absolutely cloud is the answer. Network infrastructure management, obviously cloud, because it is the way that you are using the load balancing, the VPC, and everything is being maintained, because ultimately it is the network and the infrastructure. It is absolutely the essential component of the cloud and the concept of virtualization, how you're handling all these things. The distributed application deployment of multiple applications, how you want to leverage, how you want to scale, create web services, how you are going to use the endpoints. The cloud is the answer to this. Now, I was getting questions that what if I'm not from the core computer science background? How am I going to use it? If I'm going to use, I'm from the ECE. Am I eligible for cloud? Yes, you are. Because whenever you are into either the communications engineering, if you're into the electronics engineering, if you are into the communications and you are part of the network, right? If you're into the electronics, you are part of the compute services and so on. So even with your core business domain, whatever data you want to store, whatever usage you want to do, the cloud is the answer to this. So naturally, when you go with either the core engineering or any software service industry or any of these things, ultimately you will find the data is not stored anywhere, but it is in the cloud itself. So the moment you learn the usage, at least, as I mentioned in the beginning, that there are two parts of the players. One who would be starting their career in the core cloud provider industry, like the AWS and the Google or Microsoft, or say Databricks or IBM, etc., where you are part of the cloud team, or you would be the cloud user. Either way, you would be using it in any way. So be it whatever be the technology, be whatever your core business domain, learning these becomes absolutely essential. And you will be able to use it. Trust me, it is not that difficult. If we talk about like our organization, obviously the building data cloud ecosystems with TCS powered by AI, everything is now generated and powered by AI. Even we are moving towards the AI being leveraged as a topmost priority along with the cloud being together working with it. So each enterprise is unique in its journey to cloud. That is what we believe. And we definitely build models that is leveraging to the cloud and working with it. Enterprise must be aware of their data estate and strategize move to cloud to analyze data and drive decision fastest. Management of data on cloud is easier with AI tools from AWS, Google Cloud, and is cost effective because we only use and pay whatever we use. Data security and cloud is the need of the hour. Development of distributed data platforms and collaborations on business models with partners are what is directly leveraged into our own ecosystem of users to the cloud itself. And that is why TCS today is a gold partner of Microsoft Azure, like Google Cloud, as well as AWS. Now, this was about the concept of it. Now, let us go with the hands-on. Before going to the hands-on, I would like to take one or two more questions. Not only that, I would like to specify one important point also. See, I would urge all of you to go through this. Like, see, we will be talking about IIT Bhubaneshwar and TCS iON, where we are actually giving a cloud infrastructure management and cloud application or cloud computing course, where it will be powered by both IIT Bhubaneshwar as well as TCS iON. And after this particular course, this covers the need that would make you a professional from whatever engineering background you are into it. Not only that, the internship opportunities, we urge you to really work well in this, because the IIT Bhubaneswar internship opportunities that we are talking about, like Swapnil just asked me a few minutes back, definitely if you perform well, if your background, like some IITs has some cutoffs, so if you are performing well, you get this internship opportunities. Okay, so definitely we prepare you to perform well. That is what we believe, but also we would invite or require your extended, working hours or your will to learn. Correct. So that we can help you at the best. Okay.
Right.
So Swapnil, if you have any questions, or else
absolutely. So I'll just quickly touch upon a few questions. So Ritvik says, is there any possibility of getting this recording? Ritvik, yes, you have to give us a few weeks and we'll get this recording up on our platform on the TCS iON page on YouTube. I also got a question earlier who asked me, will I get the PPT for this session? So that was Biswajit. He asked me if I can get the whole PPT after this class. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to share the PPT, but just want to tell you, like I said, this session will be available in the next few weeks on YouTube. You can just go through it, and I'm sure that it will help you. Do you provide any projects as per industry requirement? Yes, Rashmi Rajan, we'll answer this question. That's a very valid question. I'm glad that you asked it. Ask this question. Yash asks if this course is free. So no, this course is not free, Yash. I will give you more information about it. I'm glad that you all are asking all these questions. Just one question that I would want you to answer, Debashish, before we go ahead. Rashmi Rajan says, what is the difference between cloud computing, cloud management, and cloud architecture?
Yeah. See, the thing is that, cloud computing is the entire scenario that you are using the compute engine with the cloud. If you talk about the cloud management, then you are leveraging with the governance of that. Okay. So the moment you are talking about the governance, there are multiple factors like the security comes into play, authentication comes into play, how you are actually using it, that comes into play. What are the protocols, the rules you are applying to it, that comes into the part of the governance and the management. When we talk about the cloud infrastructure, that is how you are setting up the infrastructure, what infrastructure suits as a cloud consultant. If you are, then what infrastructure suits you would have to provide an advice about that to your specific customer or a client when they come across to you. So that is again another part or another application that you would be using. Okay, so these are three different work that you can have to learn and practice to get into a professional domain.
Thank you so much, Debashish. There's another question from Dipesh. Could you elaborate on how the large service providers like AWS handle the backend of cloud by third-party user, and how is it secure to use?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question actually. See that they have multiple their data centers across the world. They have multiple regions across the world. If we talk about that, these are AWS maintains this through the concept of virtualizations. They build applications. Okay, so these are the area where the core concept of cloud, how virtualization takes place, how these infrastructures are being provided, how they are being shared. This is the main core concept that you would be actually learning in this infrastructure management course. So not only as an end user, but the core conceptual aspects of working through it, how it is managed, how it is shared, how through a remote access you can directly access them and work with it. These are the detailed part that you would be learning in these particular courses, in core theoretical and the practical aspect of it. So that is what this is all about. This question is a huge actually. It takes multiple classes to answer, but this is in short that I can talk about.
So what we are trying to do is, audience, we are this masterclass that we've held by Debashish. It's just a sneak peek of what you're going to learn in the cloud computing course or the program that we've come up with. We'll give you more. How can this help in AI machine learning? Venu Nath has this question, Debashish. Would you like to touch upon
Yes,
this?
I'll take this. See, the thing is that how it helps in AI and machine learning. See, the thing is that if you talk about, let's talk about individual vendors one by one. The moment I talk about AWS, so the machine learning models or the AWS or the machine learning models that you're working with, it, these algorithms, if you have to work with a large amount of data to train different models, not only a very small set of CSV file that you download from Kaggle and train and use it. It is not that. If you want to work with a real life scenario, then you need a huge amount of data to train the model to make it perfection or accuracy, right? So how are you going to store the data? It is not the data will be of any one format like a CSV, but the data in a real life data can be from any type format databases. It can be anything, right? So the concept of data lake comes into it. So the moment you want to have a data coming, or it can be a streaming data where you want Kinesis and other tools to work with it. So when you want data coming from multiple sources and you want to train a model, make it robust, obviously cloud is the answer to it. If you want to store a model for future use, obviously cloud is the one. Second point, and the most important ones, that is each and every cloud service provider is coming up with either pre-built models or providing you platforms where you can code, you can store a model and create and leverage of your own. Today, the coding part of the machine learning is also getting minimized with simply drag and drop tools provided by these cloud service providers. Say, for example, I was talking about AWS SageMaker. In AWS SageMaker, there is a concept called Canvas, which is absolutely, you can share it across teams and no one needs to know anything about coding. They can drag and drop, create models, deploy, test, and complete creating a pipeline. Similarly, you can do the same with Google Cloud. Similarly, you can do the same with Microsoft Azure. So there are multiple providers who are actually coming across or providing the ease of implementing these things in a much easier way, but in a real life scalable way to handle it. With the amount of compute resources, say for example, you want to buy a GPU, say procuring a GPU machine and using it is very expensive, right? But with the amount of compute you are using, the GPU you are using, or in a Google, the TPUs that you would be using, you can simply pay for the part you're using and turn it off. When you're turning it off, you're not charged for the compute power. But if you have to get that infrastructure, you have to buy it upfront. So the no upfront cost when you're using a cloud. So this is where cloud and the domains of artificial intelligence with pre-built models, libraries, everything provided by the vendors are actually intertwining in a way that they becomes almost inseparable today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Devashish. So Karthik says, how is cloud beneficial in electric engineering? Karthik, you need to, so as Devashish has been saying that no matter which field are you from, no matter what your background is, even Rashmi, if there is a year gap, it doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to learn. Are you ready to learn? We've got this course for you. Let me quickly talk about this course.
I would
As a
like to
part of
take
our
one answer.
commitment,
I
sure,
just
sure,
want
yeah,
to
sure,
answer one. Is that
absolutely.
regarding the electrical engineer? See, you are using MATLAB, right? So today MATLAB is on cloud. That answers it straight away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Devashish. It was so direct and so up to the mark. So thank you so much. So like I was saying, we've got so many questions coming up about the course, about the pricing. Let me quickly tell you all about this course. As a part of a commitment of bringing the best for you, we've got the best career options. We are proud to present a future of technology with our advanced cloud computing program. This is designed in partnership with prestigious IIT Bhubaneshwar and TCS iON. So this is a certificate program. You can see the details on your computer screen. You can take out a screenshot of this. So, Debashish, if you can elaborate a little more about
Yeah,
the course.
absolutely. See, the thing is that this is a course certification being presented to you by the most prestigious IIT Bhubaneshwar and powered by TCS iON, where we both are providing you our expertise in the fields and domain to give you a certification once you clear and complete this one. So as you can see that it is the course is cloud systems and infrastructure management, as I was talking about, not only the virtualization and the usage, but also the infrastructure and the governance, everything is being placed into it. The syllabus and all details you would be getting directly in the internet. It is already there, like the TCS iON IDH, the link. Now you see that it is 120 plus hours of overall experiential learning. The moment we talk about experiential learning means that there would be absolute hands-on in each and every level that you need to work on, you need to see. Professors are from the different levels of IITs, IIT Bhubaneshwar and Kharagpur, Patna, etc., and also the TCS subject matter experts. It is like the hands-on expertise you would be getting in, as I was talking about, not only a single cloud provider, but GCP, Azure, AWS. And as you can see that the AI models, the libraries are also being included, like TensorFlow, the Minikube, when today one thing is very essentially important when you talk about like deployment architectures, the Docker comes into play. When you talk about how we can leverage like distributed computing and distributed architecture, the Kubernetes comes into play. So Minikube by Kubernetes, how you are handling data of different levels, not only like the relational databases, but data coming from different sources, the data itself, like handle big data, so MapReduce into it, like the Grafana comes into play. Even with the latest of, as I was talking about, the pre-trained models of the like generative AI, the GPT-4 and much more would be covered into with pure hands-on expertise in this certification. It is 100% program on classes, which would be absolutely by IIT faculties, covering a combination of practical learning, hands-on and experiential learning, paradigm with theoretical concepts in depth. It is specially designed for those who want to improve the hands-on knowledge of cloud. It is not only theoretical, but you get to do it yourself. So you are into the confidence. You get a co-branded certificate from IIT Bhubaneshwar as well as TCS iON after completion, successful completion of the program. The potential job roles, as we say, obviously cloud junior developers, cloud software engineers, cloud architect, cloud support engineer, junior system administrator as you move. That is the roadmap that someone was asking.
Correct.
Obviously, once you go through it, there are multiple ways you can enhance your skills and can apply for all these domains. So the opening and all these things are absolutely fantastic. The classes are particularly in flexible learning weekend sessions, and you have a certificate of excellence for toppers for the batch. Okay, the first cohort would start at 10th August to 8th of November. Okay, and this is the price point.
So thank you so much, Debashish. I would like to touch upon a few things. So the
Yeah,
reason why
sure.
we've kept it on weekend sessions, the classes, is because it would be feasible for those who are a working population. If you're working, so the weekend class will be, feasible for you all. And as Jatin wanted to know what is the future of cloud computing, what are the jobs, the impact on AI on the job. So you saw the potential job roles that we've mentioned there. These are just a few that we've mentioned, but like Debashish said, cloud is everywhere today because everything is to do with data. So I'm sure that if you enroll for this course, you will surely be, it'll be a blessing for you. It's just at that price point that that's mentioned out there. The first cohort date is the 10th of August. The last date of registration is the 31st of July. That's one thing that you need to be aware of. That's the last date of registration, 31st July. And if you want to reach us, you can reach us at info.tcsionhub@tcs.com. So there are many questions that are coming in. We may not be able to take a lot of questions because we're already up to the time. So I would suggest if you could please write to us, and we'd be more than happy to respond to your questions. We've got the QR code so that it becomes easier for you all to just scan and land on the page where this certification program is mentioned. We've also pasted the link in the chat box. You all can click on the link and you all will go to the page. Enroll now and you will surely be able to, get the best of it. Vyam, you want to know if there are any EMI options? Of course, there'll be EMI options. That's no cost EMI that will be available for you. You can just have a look, and I'm sure that this will help. About the IIT Dhanbad certification, Venunath, this is about IIT Bhubaneshwar that we are talking about. If you want to know more about IIT Dhanbad, I've just put in a page, a link for TCS and Jobinar page. You will get all the recordings there. Omkar, you had that option. You'll get the recordings there. And today we have to fill attendance. There is no attendance for this masterclass. We've got this masterclass so that we can tell you more about this certification program, and we want you to enroll for it. That is why we've got this masterclass. So we've almost come to the top of the time, but we've still got a live demo for all of you all from Debashish Roy. Debashish, over to you for the live demo.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know we are already reaching the end of the time, so I'll not take much, like 10 to 15 minutes, but I'll just quickly show you how you log in, create a compute and work with it and connect. Okay. So I'm using Amazon Web Service, AWS, for the demo. I think my screen is, I'll have to yet to share my screen. Just 1 minute. Okay, I think my screen is visible now.
Yes, Debashish.
Yeah. So see, first of all, if I want to go with Amazon AWS console, this is the link, aws.amazon.com console. Those who would be using it for the first time need to create an account for me, and there will be free account for 12 months, 1 year, but you can, you need to use your credit card or debit card just for authentication, where 2 rupees would be deducted and it will come back to your account again after 24 to 72 hours. Okay. Now that is just for authentication, nothing much. And normally we prefer to use the free tier accounts for 1 year. Coming to the sign in, I'll use sign in because I've already have an account. Okay, so I just logged in actually. I'll log out because I want to show you that if you have to log in, there are multiple, there are 3 the authentication. Say for example, I'm signing in now. IAM is identity and access management from the user level. If I want to use the root login, then I'm using a root login over here. See, I was talking about agentic AI, right? See, this is an announcement straight away. Today, it is essential that AI domain and all these things are all coming together. See, I'm giving a password, but this is not all, right? You have to give for a multi-factor authentication, which is an app that you need to install and in your mobile, and you have to find out and specify. Now, this is the second level of authentication that you need to provide, which will come to your systems. And I sign in straight away into this. Now, once I'm into this one, say for example, as I was talking about EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, I want to create an EC2 instance. These are the dashboard for the EC2. If I go to the instances and I want to create an instance, you can create launch instance from here. Now this is creating the infrastructure. Say for example, I want to launch an infrastructure specifying that the name as Masterclass. I would like to specify Masterclass system. Okay. Now additional tags, this is the name of the machine that I would be using. See the OS, it asks for the different OS Amazon machine images that you want to use. Say for example, I use this over here. It asks, I want to create only 1 instance. Suppose you want to create for 25 users, then you can use 25 out here, right? Now, what is the compute that you're using? The virtual server type, the instance type, it is T2.micro by default, they're saying, which is a free tier eligible. See, free tier eligible, that means you do not need to pay if you're using this kind of compute system. Suppose I want to, it is Ubuntu server 24.04, that is the latest of the Ubuntu server that is in the free tier, okay? Along with that, suppose the compute engine that you want to use, the hardware that you are specifying. T2.micro is vCPU, 1 GB of memory, but if I want, it's a free tier eligible. Suppose I do not want free tier 1 GB micro, but I want to use something, say for example, small, okay? T2.small I want to create for myself at this point. There is 2 GB of memory and it is 1 vCPU. Key pair login is how you authenticate, okay? So there is a private and a public key that gets generated. After that, you need to use the RSA algorithm for this. I'm using one that is already there for saving time. It is available with me. I'm using it. The network settings, the VPC, the subnet. If you want to specify, you can specify. You can auto assign public IP, or you can enable or you can specify a range if you want to make it. That is all how you create. The security group, if I want the SSH traffic to come from anywhere, so 000/0, or if I want to restrict that to come only from specific systems, I can specify over there. If I want to open some specific port, I can mention here in the security group. If I want to specify different protocols over here, not only SSH, but HTTP and HTTPS and all, or UDP, I can mention it over there. Now this comes as the storage. If I don't want to use anything, but just for the test, I can use 8 GB, GP3, the storage unit. If I want to store something more, I can use the 30 GB. Now look at this. This GB, whatever I'm talking about, the storages is actually the general purpose SSD or magnetic storage, like our hard disk. Free tier eligible is up to 30 GB I can use. Okay, so it is not that I need to restrict to 8 GB only. Now, once I get this, and if I am done, I can launch the instance after verifying details. Now, see, success means your instance is getting launched. Once it checks all and makes you ready, you are good to start with the Ubuntu instance. Similarly, you could have created a Windows instance where you can use an RDS to the remote desktop protocol and RDS to directly connect to it. So if I want to get back to my instance that I created, so see, this is the Masterclass system. Okay, now this is a plain simple vanilla Ubuntu system that I've created. This is the public IPv4 address, as you can see, and I want to log into this. It is still, the system status check is still initializing. I'll have to wait a little while. Still, actually, this initializes and the ticks come. Status check is still initializing, but let me give it a shot. Now I'm copying the public IPv4 address. Once the machine is ready, it will be available. I'm opening, say, for example, a command prompt in my own system. See, I have used the key pairs previously. I have used, this is a Windows machine. So if I'm using the PEM file, so this is my PEM file I created already. I want to use this. I'm using SSH-I. Okay. And I'm using the PEM file name drbdaa.pem. Okay. I want to specify the user. By default, the user is Ubuntu, and then the IP address that I copied from there. I'm using this SSH to directly log in. Are you sure to log in? Yes. And you see that I would be into the system. So see, this is the Ubuntu machine of the cloud that I created right now. I launched over there. Now this system is absolutely the new that I've created at this point in time. Now say, for example, I want to go with S3 storage. This is the compute machine that I created, Ubuntu that I launched from my, say, Windows system using SSH. Now suppose I want to go through S3. S3 is what? S3 is the simple storage service provided by Amazon. This was an EC2. See, this is a scalable storage in cloud that I'm using. the scalable storage in cloud that I'm directly using it. And if I want to create a bucket, these are the storage services that I was talking about. I can create bucket, I can create different storages. Say, for example, I'm creating a bucket. This bucket, you can create it through the Amazon console, also through the AWS CLI that we talk about. Now, say, for example, the bucket name I'm giving over there as Masterclass 020306. 0306 is today's name, general purpose masterclass I'm creating. Okay. This block public access, when you specify, that means it is not discoverable from outside. If you want this to be discoverable from outside, you can make this as, I don't want to block this. Versioning, if you want to enable the bucket versioning, you can make it enabled. If you want to add any tag, you can do. Encryption, whatever encryption you want to do for this particular storage service, you can mention it out here. The bucket keys, if you want to add anything additional, you can do that, and then you create a bucket. Just 1 minute, it is missing something. Okay. I want to create the bucket. So the bucket is getting created. So you see that the masterclass bucket is now getting created. Now the thing is that the moment this bucket is getting created, if I want to search this, see masterclass 130306 is being created in the region of Asia Pacific. This is the IAM access analyzer if I want to do. Now, if I go into the bucket itself, at this point, there is no object, right? But I can use this upload to upload files into the bucket. I can get folders, file, whatever I want to. And this is the endpoint where you can use this bucket from outside any environment programmatically. You can add files and select and upload. It would be uploaded there, but this is my TCS machine. I'm not supposed to upload anything from my TCS machines into some cloud without authentication. So I'm not doing it at this. I'm refraining myself from that. This is the security. Otherwise, from any other system, you can actually upload, and it will be uploaded in your Amazon S3 bucket masterclass and stored data over there as a part of it. Okay, so this is how S3 works. Now, say, for example, I want to show you one more thing, which is called RDS. See, Aurora and RDS. Aurora and RDS, Relational Database Management Services. Aurora is basically a fully managed services like the previous ones being provided by managed services provided by Amazon. I want to go to the databases, for example. Create database. Suppose I want to use Aurora MySQL compatible, or I want to simply use a MySQL. So let me select a pure MySQL only. Okay. Choose a database. Now just see how easy it is. I'm choosing something, I'm selecting, it is getting done, right? Now I want to use the MySQL Community Edition, MySQL 8.0, no problem. Engine version 8.0.41. Aurora is the most latest one. If you want to use enable RDS extended support, is a paid offering. If you want to do that, you can do it. Extended support, it will maintain the database. If you want to go for the production, it is one. If you want to go for a free tier, it is fine. So I want to go for a free tier without anything. Obviously, you will also select the same. Now, say, for example, availability and durability. If you want to make this available for other services, you do not need any standby instances. If I'm using a free tier, you see that I'm creating a deployment on a single standby instances. I'm not using anything as such. DB identifier or database name, I'm giving the name as master database, master DB. Let the name be master DB. Credentials, as you can see, is admin. Self-managed. The master password, I'm giving admin123. We need to give something 8 characters. So 3, 4 would have been better. Rather, I can specify admin @123. Fine, this is okay. But okay, wait. It contains the 8 printable characters. Admin is 5 and 3, 8, but it is weak that it is asked, but it's fine as of now. It's a test. Confirming this. Instance configurations, how you want. Storage type, the allocation storage space that you're specifying. Connectivity. If I want to connect to an EC2 compute instance, I can specify this. That is connect to an EC2 instance, EC2 compute as a client. If I want to choose the EC2, this is the Masterclass subsystem I want to choose. So you choose the connectivity, choose existing VPCs. Public access, if I want to specify, you can mention out here. Connect to an EC2 compute resource. So you're connecting to this, which is the Masterclass subsystem. Available zone is AP South 1. Password authentication that we have done, database insight is standard. If you want anything additional for monitoring and log export, now see all these comes under when you talk about the monitoring, when you talk about the logs, when you talk about the different error logs, all this comes under the governance part. Okay. If you want to specify any IAM role, you can directly do it. So all these things, additional configurations, so all these things comes into it with the estimated monthly cost. All these are part of the governance, the cost and everything, right? The pricing. Now suppose I want to create a database. So the database is getting created. Suggested add-on, if I want to use Elastic Cluster, I don't want it as of now. Create proxy, I don't need this as of now, so I'm cutting it out. Now this is getting created. It will take some time for this instance to get created. Once it gets created, we can connect it from the EC2 instance that we created, and we can use it as a normal MySQL database and our own Ubuntu system that will have a connectivity in a distributed environment in a cloud. Okay. See, it is not
So
even.
while,
Yeah.
sorry.
Swapnil,
Right.
you were saying something.
So what I was saying is, Devashish, we have a question from Keshav, but I've done BBA and I already have AWS certification. Am I eligible for this program?
Yeah. So the thing is that, yeah, sure, because you will be able to like learn not only from the DBA aspects, but you will be learning from the advanced machine learning, artificial intelligence aspects also. So here I would like you or advise you to go and check the curriculum straight away being covered, because it is not only about like the database administration, how you're using VPC, how you're controlling it, virtualization. That is one aspect of it, definitely. But the advanced applications where you are working with big data, where you're working with Kubernetes, where you're working with like the machine learning models that is being provided, all these things are additional things that you get to work with it. Okay. So this is what it is. So here I would always suggest that please check the curriculum. Obviously, there will be some like food that is required and that can give you better leverage. Now, while this is getting created, it is coming to this. So this takes a while, as we were talking about. And see, it is the database that is created. It is now available, as you can see, the master DB. If I click on this, you see that the connectivity and the endpoint, security endpoint and port all is available. Now I can directly, this endpoint has to be copied, and I can go with the, from the part, this is my, the AWS Ubuntu machine where actually I wanted to connect. So if I want to get into it, say for example, I can specify over there sudo. Okay, so I lost connection. Again, I would like to get into it. It will quickly allow me in the same command. Now suppose I want to specify sudo ssh -i, and I want to specify this, I've already connected over there. So now what I need to do is, if I want to connect to the endpoint, I need to install to the database, I need to install a kind of a MySQL client. Okay. So MySQL client, I can use it or install it like this: sudo apt update -y. This is my system. That is the Ubuntu system I created. What is what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to install a MySQL client so that I connect to the database that I just created from the EC2 instance. Okay. So sudo apt update -y. So once it is done, I would install the client. So sudo, I want to install apt install -y. I would like to use the MySQL core, client core -8.0, because I'm using the MySQL 8.0 only. So the client is now connected. Now, once the current client is installed, that is the MySQL client installed in the EC2 instance, I'm going to use the endpoint to connect to the database. Okay, so there I would use sudo MySQL -h, and I'm going to use the endpoint that I copied from there. See, this is the MasterDB endpoint that I specified. The port would be -P, and I would like to give 3306. I would like to specify -u, that is the admin, that is the user, and the password is -p, and I'll keep it like this with an enter. The password I've given is admin123, if I'm not wrong. So now see, you have logged into the MySQL. Now this MySQL is the database that you created. Suppose I want to create show databases. So these are the databases that is already there. If I want to create a MySQL database, Control L, wait. If I want to suppose create a database, so create database test, use test. Now you can use see database change. Now you can create say table EMP. EMP number, suppose integer, ename, suppose I'm using varchar 20. I can specify primary key, etc., whatever it is. So I want to use insert into EMP values. So the primary card, like the data that you are specifying, it is all that is applicable. Now you run a select query, select star from EMP. So you get to see that the entire operation that you're doing in MySQL, like your Ubuntu machine I've created, and you're using this to work with your MySQL database that you created on the cloud. Now, this is one normal MySQL you have created. If you're using the Aurora one, then this will be managed. The infrastructure will be managed by AWS. The scalability, the backup, and all these things will be managed. And you can simply work with the database as you want to work with. Even you can use a MySQL client install over there and can work with this. You can use a MySQL connector, use the endpoint to connect using any programming language you want to. So not only MySQL, as I was talking about the NoSQL, as I was talking about the data lake, AWS lake formation, etc. All these things are possible. And once you are into the concept of the cloud, once you are into the cloud infrastructure management and security with AI driven and the data science application oriented, so you get a full-fledged, the exposure to the world of cloud as required. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you in this very short period of time. One thing I would request all of you, once if you try these things, do not leave it as it is because it will bill you. So always once you're done, the next thing should be you need to delete the database. To confirm deletion, you specify delete me. Otherwise, you will be billed for it unnecessarily and that is not needed. Now, the moment it has started deleting this is a part of the learning that you delete it before use or you put it off, like turn off the EC2 instance if you're not using it. Okay, now see it is getting deleted. If I write down over there, select star, this is the client, right? From EMP. They can't connect to server. Why? Because it is getting deleted at the backend. So I was connecting over there. So see the MySQL server is no more available. Okay. You're back into it. The client is there, but you cannot access it. Now, if you go to the EC2 right now, it is getting deleted. No problem with that. If you go to EC2, the instance that is running, I have only one instance running for me right now, although I have other instances there, the Masterclass system. I have checked it, instance state. I want to stop instance or I can terminate or delete instance. If I want to reuse it, I can keep it as stop. Otherwise, I'll terminate or delete it so that the storage and everything is there. The moment I start terminating it, you can see that you are back into the Windows desktop without getting into, you're no more into the client system. Okay, so I hope I have explained what I did.
Yes, absolutely, Debashish. I want to tell you this that, one thing that I like about you is that even though we overshot the time, you could have just verbally told the audience what would be the end result. But you waited and you showed the audience how it would look like on hands-on. So that's one thing that it's really, one thing that I respect about you. And I want to tell the audience this is how we're going to handhold you throughout the certification course. This is one thing that we want to do for you. So just don't think about it. Don't think much. Register for the course right now, and I'm sure that it will help you. So a special thank you to you, Devashish, once again. It's truly been a pleasure having you with us today. And the clarity which you explained, the demonstration of cloud, like I said, from the basics till right now, the live demo, it was really inspiring. And to all our participants, thank you so much for your enthusiasm, for your thoughtful questions, active engagement throughout the session. And we really hope that this session sparked your interest in the field of cloud computing for you. Uh, Once again, we've posted the link in the chat for you. Just click on the link. And this is Swapnil Chodankar signing off, wishing you a pleasant evening. Thank you, Devashish.